Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, where we dive deep into the mystical and enchanting realms of spirituality. I'm your host, spiritual medium Lauri Albert, and together with special guests, we explore a world of spiritual insights and experiences, as well as offer captivating mediumship and oracle card readings. Tune in for enlightening conversations that will uplift your soul and expand your consciousness. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Spirit. I am Lauri Albert. I am a spiritual medium. I like to call myself a spiritual luminary, actually, because I do quite a few different things. I'm a medium. I'm a manifestation author, spiritual life coach, all of that kind of fun stuff. So anyway, welcome to the show is the bottom line. I have such a beautiful soul as my guest today, and I am so excited that she agreed to come on the show. So everybody welcome Meadow Linn. And we're going to have such an amazing conversation. And before I jump into all the questions that I have for her, I want to read you guys her bio because she is up to some amazingly extraordinary things. So let me just read this to you really quick. Meadow Linn embodies a unique blend of creativity, coaching, culinary expertise, which I think is just amazing, and a passion for guiding others towards a more meaningful and fulfilling life journey. Meadow collaborates closely with her mother, Denise Linn, in their shared passion for personal growth and holistic living. Their partnership has led to the creation of the Mystic Cafe, which I'm definitely can't wait to hear more about, an online membership community for connecting and personal growth. Additionally, Meadow co-authored two acclaimed Hay House books with her mom, Quest, a guide for creating your own vision quest, and the Mystic Cookbook. The latter was lauded by PBS Food as one of the top 5 cookbooks for the holiday, and even served as the inspirational centerpiece for Meadow's captivating keynote address, which reached a live audience of 3,000 people and was streamed worldwide. Meadow holds a master's degree in French cultural studies from Columbia University and a bachelor's degree from Williams College. Her diverse background as a teacher and coach enriches her ability to connect with people on multiple levels. Meadow's expertise extends to being a soul coaching trainer and advanced practitioner, a life coach, and a health coach. She played a pivotal role in shaping and developing the soul coaching program and philosophy. Sorry, I can't talk today, right? And philosophy from its inception, and worked alongside Denise at soul coaching certification training programs. Today, Meadow continues to inspire and empower individuals worldwide through a wide array of in-person and online workshops covering topics such as soul coaching, creativity, writing, health, and wellness. She cherishes her role as a loving mother to 2 young children and pet mom to her Maine Coon cat while living a vibrant and balanced life. Oh my gosh, there is so much to unpack in that. Meadow, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's such a joy to be here. I'm so delighted.
Oh my gosh. How did you start? How did you sort of grab onto the idea of holistic, just living? How did you get into that?
Well, I was fortunate in that I was born into it in a way that
True.
My mom has been teaching kind of mind, body, spirit, health, wellness, spirituality since her early years, her late teens, as it were. So she's been doing this for 50, 60 years.
Oh my gosh.
I guess almost.
Yeah.
So I was born into it, though I did spend many years trying to be different, as
Yes.
many kids do. Many rebel by being wild and crazy. I was rebelling by trying to be super normal and went into academia and got, as you read in the bio, got a master's degree from Columbia University. I was a school teacher for 10 years. I wanted to be the epitome of normal.
That is so cute.
But to make a long story short, I did quit my teaching job in 2009 at the height of the economic downturn, when most people were clinging tight to their career, to their jobs. But I had kind of a epiphany in that moment, realizing that I wasn't realizing, I knew I was passionate for food and cooking and everything around that, healthy living. And I loved teaching, and I was good at it too, but I gave so much to my teaching, to the students, that when I got home, I had nothing left in me for anything else. And so, although I loved it and it was a good teaching job, I had good benefits, I realized that if I didn't leap then and follow my passion for food and cooking, I might never do it. So I took that leap, and I had originally had some different plans of how I would live my food and cooking life, as it were. And life took me in a slightly different direction. And my mom and I collaborated on the Mystic Cookbook together, which you mentioned in the bio, which is more of it does have a lot of recipes, but also it's a cookbook for life. The subtitle is The Secret Alchemy of Food, and how you can use food as a spiritual practice, and how you eat and what you eat can not only connect you closer to a higher being, it also can connect you to nature, to the land, and be beneficial for your health and wellness. So there is a lot of stuff in there, and and people will say, oh, there's nothing like it, but really, with the Mystic Cookbook, there are no other books like it on the market. It has legendary meals where you can create meals that are, you can activate your chakras, or there's a section on past life meals, or ones where you travel through space and time from the comfort of your own living room, creating different experiences. And there's sections on how to use food for spiritual enlightenment. And, there's a little bit of everything in there, as well as some recipes. And it's a really beautiful book as well. I took many of the photos for it, which was a fun and a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Oh my gosh, you're right. I can't think of any other book out there that would be like that. Where can people get that? Through like Hay House, or
it is a Hay House book. And unfortunately, I believe that now they're not making physical copies of it anymore. It's a beautiful book. It cost a lot for them to publish because of all the color. You can still find used copies. They do have a digital version, an ebook. It is not the same, really, the ebook, as having the physical book. It's a weighty book because it's very full of color and pictures, but it is still in print, but I don't think they have the physical copies anymore.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to go try to find myself a used copy of that, because that just sounds amazing. I mean, whether you're a light worker or not, or learning about this kind of stuff, it seems to me to be sort of like one of the books that you might want to, if you were interested in the holistic living. That seems, because what is one of the most important things that we can do in our lives? Eat.
That's the thing that makes food such an important but also easy way to transform your life, is that we all eat anyway. So take time to notice how you eat. It can also be a metaphor for your life. So often, by simply changing or transforming how you eat, you can begin to make shifts in your life. If you're someone who's always eating quickly, or always distracted, or only eat a few things, you might start to think, oh, how else in my life am I quick or distracted, or not taking breaths, or being fully present? And when you begin to make those shifts in the way you approach your food, it can have ripple effects out into other areas of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, interestingly, because you guys have another book called Quest, A Guide for Creating Your Own Vision Quest, it seems, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it almost is like the next step after the Mystic Cookbook. Is that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I hadn't actually thought of it because it actually was written first, but
Oh,
it
that's interesting.
it definitely could be the next step, kind of
Yeah.
connecting with your food, something you do daily, and then moving on to the quest. And actually, in soul coaching, which you mentioned in the bio, that is something that I do both as a practitioner and also as a trainer, training to people to be coaches. And soul coaching, part of it is a 28-day program. And actually, the very final step at the end of the 28-day programs is a quest. So, yes, often the preparation, then the quest would be the final thing.
Yeah.
But I wrote Quest with my mom, or co-wrote it, when I was in high school, I think.
No.
So,
Oh my gosh.
so we collaborated on that, and I had completed what was called a solo at that time, a 4-day solo at a school I was attending in New England, and spent 4 days in, they call it spring, but for me from the West Coast, it was winter in New Hampshire. And so I gathered a lot of stories from my friends who had also done that experience, sharing from a teenager's perspective. And this was in the late 90s, which, life has only accelerated since then, as far as the demands on our time and the technology. And even at that time, a lot of my friends had written and shared experiences about how powerful it was for them to step away from all of those demands on their time. And those times we're talking about our watch. Now it's your cell phone, your smartphone that has access to everything. And so many of us are so busy.
Yeah.
And there's so much static that taking time alone in nature, whether you do it kind of as a traditional Native American vision quest, as a spiritual practice, or do it more kind of the way that this particular one I had done in high school was, as an outward bound type nature experience. You can approach it in different ways, but the experience of stepping away from your regular life and stepping into something different is the same.
Yeah.
And taking that time to be still, to be present, to be, and you can do the same with your meals, as we're talking about with the Mystic Cookbook as well. But I know for myself, I am almost never just present or still. And even just trying to sit still for 5 minutes and do nothing can be nearly impossible for many of us these days. I mean, I know I'm in line at Costco and I'm scrolling with my children. It's not like I'm even by myself, scrolling through my phone, looking at emails, checking texts, seeing what's on Facebook. We're just so, there's just so much that is filling our mind and our time. So it can be really powerful to take that time, clear the static, to be in nature, and to calm the mind, and then begin to be open to see what messages from nature, from spirit, from God, from the creator, whatever name you want to use for it, can come forth in that time when you are really, really still. And the other thing I like to add too is time doesn't have to equal results. Before writing that book with my mom, I had been on 6 different solos quests, and they had ranged from an hour to 4 days.
Oh, wow.
You can still get tremendous results from an hour in quietude. And it can be beneficial to be in nature, but for some people that's not possible. And you can even do it in your living room by creating a sacred space and sitting in that one spot for a set amount of time and really just focusing on your surroundings.
Yeah. It's interesting because you and Denise did the Vision Quest course a couple of was it last year?
I'm Tracking the Unseen, the 28-day program.
Yes. I was
a couple years ago. My time is flying, so I'm not even sure.
I love that course. Oh my gosh. I created a do you call it a medicine wheel? I have this back area of our property. We have like a pie lot. We live in a cul-de-sac. And so there's one area we just don't do anything with, right? So I went out there and I put out my crystals and I found the yeast and I did the whole thing. And it was extraordinary. I mean, what a beautiful, like it, you just, like you said, you don't take, a lot of people don't take that time to really just simply be present to what's happening right here, right now. And I talk so much about that in my teachings too, because when we sit in that present moment, you have to allow yourself, you have to give yourself that gift of time, you know, because when you give yourself that gift of time, that's being present, you know. But anyway, so I would go out there and I would sit, oh my God. And then it started to rain and I couldn't go out there for the rest of the year. So, but it's absolutely beautiful. So here's my question to you. For those out there listening that might have questions about simply what holistic living looks like, what would you tell people what that is? Because the reason why I'm asking that is because I think, because I try to gear this show towards people that are looking for answers, looking to learn, right? And I think that sometimes when you hear the word holistic, that the people that aren't plugged into that might go, whoa, okay, I'm done. You know what? That's like a woo-woo word, you know, kind of thing. So how would you explain what holistic living actually is?
Well, I have different answers for each part of your question.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's great because now it's a holistic answer. I think as far as just looking at the vocabulary word, you know, here comes my teacher side coming out. But, you know, holistic, it does tend to have this kind of new age, woo-woo connotations to it. But really what it means is wholeness, pulling in all the different parts, mind, body, spirit, mental, emotional, you know, east, west, north, south, air, water, fire, earth, yin and yang. You know, there's all the different names we have for the things that create balance and wholeness. And that's really what it's about. And as we were talking about Quest and the Mystic Cookbook, it was making me think, what is really at the essence of both of those, or all of those? And for me, it is being intentional and taking time, you know, whether you're putting stones in your backyard and honoring the seasons or honoring the cardinal directions, or whether you are sitting down and intentionally savoring what you are putting into your body. It's about the intention and the pause.
Yeah.
And be, you know, mindfulness has been a very popular word over the past, you know, however many years, time's flying. So it feels recent, but I think it's probably more like 20 years now. But yeah, being intentional about what you're eating, how you're eating, or connecting to nature, spending time in nature, connecting to God, spirit, source, the elements, the fairies, whatever you connecting to, or whatever you're putting into body. And the word that I use for all of this is savoring. And it's something that's very close to my heart. It first started for me after I quit my teaching job in 2009, I started a blog because I needed something to fill up my time. And the first one, I was basically just I'd gone out for my birthday to a nice dinner and I described the meal.
Oh my God, that's great.
The blog took on a life of its own after that. And I wrote it for 6 years. And I ended up, what I would do is kind of connect a story from my life where I'd kind of had some sort of realization or aha moment, and then connect it to a recipe that I'd create specifically for that blog post. But that blog was called Savor the Day. Okay. And now, 15 years later, my business is named Savor the Day. I teach classes and workshops on savoring. And what savoring means for me is exactly that slowing down, that being intentional. Yeah. It's, you know, people have a gratitude practice. Sometimes gratitude can feel weighty. Yeah. Savoring can be catching those glimmers of joy, of hope, expectation, beauty. It might be savoring the way that the sunlight is dancing on a still lake.
Yeah, that's so true.
Savoring is also about being present in the moment. Yeah. It's, you know, it's so easy. I have young children, and it's so easy to get so caught up in the hecticness of life. And the other day, you know, they both gotten in bed with me in the middle of the night, and the cat too. And I'm like, but I'm wide awake. I'm wide awake. And there's part of me that was like, I need to sleep. I need to sleep. They're squishing me like, ah. And there was this other part of me that thought, wow, I need to savor this moment. This is fleeting. There will not be that many more months or years when my children will be in bed with me like that. And then also savoring the fact that I had wanted children my entire life and I didn't meet the right partner. And then when I finally decided to go my own way and have children on my own, the doctors were like, yeah, good luck with that. And I struggled with fertility, and with my daughter, I was given a 5% chance of conceiving. And
wow. That's a miracle. Oh my gosh.
Both my children are miracle babies. It was first with my son, they gave me a 25% chance. And then that kind of reduced. And then when I tried the second time, it was even harder. And yet 5%. Yeah. And so also knowing how much I had wanted these children and what a journey it was for both of them. I had suffered severe postpartum depression. After the first one, he was premature. I was hospitalized for 3 weeks. And then with my second child, I'd had gestational diabetes. You know, so there were lots that had gone into not only conceiving these children, but also bringing them into the world. So also this, you know, I digress, but savoring that moment of, you know, on the one hand, I'm like, gosh, I need to sleep. Yeah. And then also savoring how precious that moment is. Yeah. What a miracle these two children are. And that it won't be that much longer, that they're not going to be wanting to be sleeping with me in bed. And it doesn't mean that I can't also whine in my head about needing sleep, but savoring is taking that moment of pause. Yeah. And recognizing how precious that moment is, while at the same time grumbling about needing sleep. But that's what savoring is about. And we also think about, you know, we often think about savoring in regard to food. Yeah. And that can be a template for how you can use savoring in other areas of your life. Using your senses, your sense of smell, sight, sound, hearing, and using that as you're enjoying, say, a piece of chocolate and noticing how it tastes different. Yeah. When you really slow down and have those heightened senses. But then that can translate to other areas of your life as well. When you're walking through a beautiful garden, using your eyes, your ears, your sense of touch, and really exploring and experiencing that moment. That is what savoring is. And it doesn't have to take long, 30 seconds. And I notice when I feel anxiety or stress, if I slow down a little bit and I look out my window, which I'm doing right now, and I look at my garden, well, actually that brings me stress because there's too many weeds right now. But but if I look at the parts that don't bring me stress, those brief little moments can actually begin, might not remove the obstacles or the stress or the anxiety, but it can bring a little bit more of joy. It can calm the nervous system. Yeah.
You know what I love about what you just said, and I just have to share that. I love that. I mean, I'm about to be 60, right? So in next year, but still, I mean, I'm working it up in my head, right? I'm like getting
50th birthday's in 3 years, and I'm already starting to think, what am I going to do? It's 50. So I
exactly. But here's the thing. If I could do one thing, and I wonder if my daughter's on here. My daughter is now 27. And if there was one thing that I could redo, just one thing throughout my entire life, it would be to put things down, because there were, you know, we had phones, but we weren't on them all the time back then, you know, and just be present to everything that was going on with her. And I was a lot. I mean, I gotta be, you know, I'm trying to like be real about it. I was, but like you were talking about being in bed. I remember one time that she crawled into bed with us, and it was so uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, and then I was like, okay, you know, but bottom line is that I think that the generation following me, I feel like that you guys are all so present. And like my daughter, she's 27 and she is one of the most present people in the world to me. Like that every time she blows my mind, right? And it's so fascinating to me and I love so much about what you just said because you're I think that it's coming full circle. Maybe not full circle isn't quite the right way to say it, but it's like the world is starting to understand the idea of presence and the importance of savoring. And I just have to tell you, I love the word savor and the way you described it and your business called this because, oh my gosh, the world needs that. The world needs everything that you're describing about being present and savoring the moment. So thank you for that. Thank you for the math from the masses.
Thank you. And I also think it's valuable to give ourselves a pass too, that there are times when it's important and valuable to be gentle with yourself. I am not always present. I am not always savoring. My daughter, I still nurse her to sleep and it's boring. I just scroll through Facebook and stare mindlessly. And I know 30 years down the line, I'm going to look back and wish I had savored that more. And that I know it's fleeting and I'm ready to stop. But at the same time, I know like when I stop, then that's done. But it is boring, so there are times too when we give ourselves grace that we can gain so much from being present, from savoring, but for those of you who are thinking, oh no, I can't do that. I give you a pass to give yourself grace because beating up on yourself or thinking there's something you should do, should can be a bad word, because it begins to weigh on us and eat away when you feel like there's all these things you should do to make your life better or different or grow. And sometimes you just need grace.
Yeah. Oh, that is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I can just imagine you're like, first of all, you're such a great coach. I mean, I can only imagine your soul coaching. Wow, you really listen. And thank you for that. I'm sure that all of your students feel the same way. Let me just take a second to say hello to some amazing people on here. We've got Betty and Keith and Dr. Lett. Hey, Dr. Lett. Ada and Lori and Karen. Hi, Karen and DC. Dose of Sunshine. Vince. Bex. Hi, guys. Luann. And let's see. Vincy. June. Dose of Sunshine. Let's see who else is on here. So I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody that has joined today. So I love that you guys are all here. If you have any questions for Meadow, please bring it on. Oh, Tasha. Hi, Tasha. I want to know about this is for me, by the way. Like, I really want to know this. Tell me about soul coaching. What exactly is that?
Soul Coaching was originally a book that my mom published with Hay House in 2003. And it is a 28-day program. So you can get the book and read it and go through the program yourself if you so choose. Soul Coaching is also really valuable to do with a soul coaching practitioner, to do along with a coach. And you can either do one-on-one sessions with a coach. And as you mentioned, listening. A big part of coaching is listening, being there to support the client and listen, reflect, and ask questions so that the person being coached can find their own answers and access their own true, authentic self.
Yeah.
Soul Coaching is also a 28-day program. So soul coaching practitioners can lead, and this is also in the book, as I said, it can be self-led, but can lead you through a 28-day program. Mm-hmm. And a 28-day program is divided into 4 weeks. Each one is connected to a different element. So the first week is air. So air is lots of mental.
Right.
And you're clearing away the physical debris by doing clutter clearing.
Yeah.
Water is connected to emotions. So a lot of the exercise and activities in Water Week deal with emotions. Fire is passion and creativity and transformation. So lots of shit can get stirred up in fire.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
earth is more
Sometimes it needs to. Right?
and earth is more grounded. Earth is also the physical body, looking at kind of your physical world. And each day of the program has 3 levels, which was kind of genius on my mom's part when she wrote the book, because anybody can do it no matter where they are in their life and what's going on. Level 1, you could do in 5 minutes. You could do level 1, 2, and 3 and spend all day if you want to go in really, really deep. So you can do it at whatever amount you are able to at that time in your life. Because I know for myself, being self-employed, having 2 young kids, spending seems like endless hours in the car, getting them to and from school, my time is limited.
Yeah.
But you can still get value, tremendous value from the program by doing level 1. Time doesn't have to equal results, as I mentioned before with the quest as well. And often we have this idea that the more time you put into something, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
And that can be true, but it doesn't have to be. Change, transformation, savoring, all of that can happen in an instant. Yeah. So soul coaching is both a one-on-one coaching opportunity, and it is also an opportunity to really go deep with a 28-day program or class. That is also possible. And as you mentioned earlier too, I work one-on-one with clients and I run soul coaching classes, but I also train people to become soul coaching practitioners and work with clients and teach classes as well. And I've got one coming up in next year, starting in April, and it is an 8-month intensive online professional program.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
We meet monthly for a longer class period, and then we have bi-monthly. That's not the one. Then in between those classes, we have another check-in meeting, and I'm co-teaching that with the fabulous Luann Sibic, who is a master in feng shui and space clearing, as well as a soul coach.
And I think she's on here. So hi, Luann. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. That sounds so, I'm sorry, but like the vibe that I get, the intuitive that I am, I just feel like that it would be so freeing. It's like getting rid of your shit, and then just allowing life in. Oh, I love that.
That's exactly what the program is, as you worded it, to get rid of your shit so that you can build it back. But
put that in the advertising stuff, though, right?
It's a way to clear the static.
Yeah. You
release all that's not serving you, inner and outer, physical, emotional clutter clearing, to find your authentic self.
Okay.
Or release the shit so you can.
Right. So Lauri just said, is the goal of soul coaching different for everyone, or is it mainly to discover your soul's purpose? That's a great question.
That is a great question. And I would say yes to both questions, that it can be different for everyone, especially because if you're doing soul coaching with a coach one-on-one, and they lead you on what's called a soul journey, which is kind of a individualized guided meditation where you are dialoguing throughout and you're really working with or struggling with a certain aspect of your life, that would be a very different experience from somebody who's going through the 28-day program just out of curiosity to see where it would lead. Yeah. But in essence, kind of the overall part of soul coaching is clearing away, getting rid of your shit, as Lauri said, that is is accessing your true authentic self.
Oh my gosh, Lauri. Sorry, Lauri is a friend, dear friend. And so I'm just like, Lauri, we're going to have a conversation about this. I'm like so excited about that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's it seems like something that could be, beneficial to everybody. I love that. I mean, anybody could take that and utilize to find their own, find themselves. I'm going to say it grammatically correct. Yeah. So anyway, ooh, that's exciting. So let me ask you a question. Getting back to like the holistic living, we talked about food, which I love, right? Because I'm a foodie too, and it's all my husband's fault. My husband is a total foodie, and he has gotten me into being a foodie. God, again, the whole grammar thing today is not working out for me very well. But it's interesting because when I think now, based on what you said earlier, it's like I think about, okay, so food is one aspect to holistic living. And then, what are sort of like if I wanted to get more into holistic living, where would I start?
That is a great question. And I think it's different for everybody. And
okay. Yeah.
I think there is so much. I'm going to use my hands, and I know that later this will be only audio, but it's so much kind of like, I just feel like squeezed a little bit with the information that is available as far as kind of holistic wellness that's out there. There's so many prescriptive things, take this supplement, do this exercise, eat this, don't eat that. Your life will change. You'll be healthier. You'll be skinnier. And much of that information is so helpful and so valuable. Yet at the same time, there isn't one way that works for everybody.
Right.
There are some people who thrive on a plant-based diet, and there are other people who need animal protein in their diet. There are some people who could run an hour a day and still feel like they didn't get enough exercise, and somebody else who does some relaxing stretching and feels really sated on exercise. That each of our bodies are so different, and also our beliefs and our culture really inform what is healthy and supportive of our own journey. We have different medical needs and issues. So one of the things that we write about in the Mystic Cookbook, and one of my personal tenets is, as far as food, eat what you love and love what you eat. And checking in with your body and seeing how it feels. Like, especially now with young children, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not always eating the way that I teach, because it's just sometimes getting through the day, but I also know that when I eat certain foods, I feel more energized, and I feel my cells almost tingling with joy, and I feel better. And then also noticing how you feel spiritually or culturally about the foods you eat. We are told a lot of information that can affect how we feel. And there have been studies. There was one where, let me first preface that with saying, like, our emotions, the way we feel about our food and the way we feel while we're eating, actually have a physical effect on us. And a man named, what is his name? Mark David, who he used to, I don't know if he still does, ran the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. And in one of his books, he talked about eating ice cream and how when you are really happy to be eating your favorite flavor of ice cream, whatever that is, it actually sends those happy, joyous feelings through your hippocampus and into your digestive system, and you actually digest it better.
Yeah.
Than if you're eating the whole time thinking, I'm so stressed, I shouldn't be eating this is going to make me fat.
You're right.
And actually, your body doesn't process it as well.
Right.
And it's remarkable, but it is true that food is not just about the nutrients or the calories or the fat or whatever in it, that our beliefs and our emotions affect it. There was another study they did at a university where they hired actors to have a pizza meal together. And they measured their blood cholesterol before the meal. Oh. And they had them act as being really joyous, happy, longtime friends meeting together for a pizza meal. And, they did it as scientifically as possible. So they measured the exact amount of pizza they had, the amount of cheese. And after the meal, their blood cholesterol was obviously elevated because they just had a pizza meal. But not long after that, the elevated blood cholesterol dissipated. Oh. Then they did the same meal again with the same actors, same amount of pizza, but this time they were angry. They were mortal enemies, really unhappy about eating together. That time, after the meal, their blood cholesterol had elevated, but it did not dissipate. The uncomfortable feelings, the anger they were feeling while they were eating, meant that their body held on to the quote unquote bad things
Wow.
that they hadn't held on to during the joyous eating.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Go ahead.
So back to your question, I've digressed a bit, but there are different paths for each of us.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I love about coaching with my one-on-one clients, is that each person has their own answers, and it may be different from what I think would be the thing that they would need. But by finding our own answers, we are really listening to our physical body and also to our spiritual and emotional sides to see what would serve us best and would be the most supportive of our overall health and wellness and well-being.
Wow. That is incredible. And I can't help it but think about and relate that to, I'm always talking about staying as high vibrational as you can. Right. And it's so fascinating because it's like all mixed together. Like, it seems like that it makes so much sense regarding what you were saying about, about the testing that they did. Oh my gosh. Because to me, one of the things that I teach is about how to shift your thoughts when those negative thoughts come in, and allowing yourself to sit in it and that sort of thing. But then figuring out how to shift that, because we want to stay as high vibrational as we can, and it's so fascinating because that would be like reason 630,000 why we should stay in a higher vibration. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
And of course, the challenge comes if you're eating the ice cream, you're feeling guilty about it, and then you're beating up on yourself or feeling guilty about it, thinking that, oh no, then now my body's not going to process it as well.
Right.
So it can be a double-edged sword, but
right.
but it is a reminder to find the joy in, though, if we're talking about food, in those indulgent foods, rather than, I shouldn't be eating this, but still eat it. If you're going to eat it, enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And here in the comments, I'm seeing asked about finding the studies. The one about the ice cream was in a book by a man named Mark David. The other one, I do not remember the source exactly. We wrote about it in the Mystic Cookbook, but I'm sure our Google would help.
Google is our friend.
We wrote about it in the Mystic Cookbook, and it was done at a university. Many of the university studies that I quote were from the University of Penn, from the psychology department, but this one was not. I do think maybe from Duke. And there's also a lot of really valuable information that comes out of the Cornell, what is it? It's Cornell University, the, oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's from Cornell University as well.
Okay. Very interesting. Oh my gosh.
Mindless eating comes from there. They've done a lot of really interesting studies about how we eat mindlessly, which you can then translate into how to eat more mindfully.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I tend to eat mindlessly when I'm tired. Mm-hmm. So if I am sitting in front of the TV and, there's, in my favorite world, I've got a bag of Doritos and I'm going to town, right? But what I try to do, and I enjoy it when I do have Doritos, I enjoy it, but I try, my mouth's watering. What I try to do is grapes or blueberries, because if I'm going to eat mindlessly, let me at least do something that's, yummy.
What's funny is I actually right behind me right there, I actually haven't read it. I bought it years ago. It's called The Dorito Effect. And it's a book.
As it should be. I'm going to have to look that one up too, because there is something about, and it's been ever since like Doritos, like from the time I was a young kid, there's just something about that flavor.
Well, and I think that's what that book is all about, right? It's that one right there.
Yeah, that's so funny.
My sign to read it. But I think I've read one book since the birth of my first child, almost 6 years ago. So, and
Yeah.
the book was about baby-led weaning. How to feed babies. So.
Hence Audible. All right. I mean, when you do books on tape or that sort of thing, I mean, that's where I like, because you're driving, you can have it on and all that kind of stuff. So that's what because I don't have time to read too much anymore either. Okay. So just out of curiosity, I would love to know what something like I know I sort of already asked you this, but like, did you just feel pulled to get into this? Like, how did getting into the whole thing of holistic living, how did that like present itself for you? Like, did you just start to find yourself interested in it, or outside sources, or like, and then you started making connections in your head, like, oh, I'm interested in this, so maybe that's reason why, that sort of thing. Like, how did that come about for you? Like,
I think it was a natural progression. As I mentioned, I spent much of my kind of teen years, childhood, rebelling by trying to be super normal.
right.
And so I kind of went the other way for a while. But I think after I left, well, even before I left teaching, I cooked for my mom's retreats where she was training. At that time, she was training people in something called interior alignment, which was her feng shui and space clearing school. And people would come from all over the world for 2 weeks, and they stayed with us. And I did the cooking starting the summer I graduated high school. So for much of my life, I had been cooking and connecting it in some way, I guess, to spiritual growth, because I was there supporting the participants who were there with the food.
Yeah.
But I think in so many ways, it just kind of was a natural progression. I also love research. So I read. I mean, I don't read now, but as I said, but if I'm interested in something, I learn every possible thing about it.
Yeah.
So I think it was a bit of that. And also when I was cooking for these retreats, at the time, I remember my mom talking about the beauty of presentation. And I was like, but it's like, I was 18. Like, why should I put the cereal in a bowl when I could just put the box on the table? It takes so much extra time to put that cereal in the bowl and then put it back in the box and then do that again the next day.
Yeah.
But she showed me how presentation, how intention matters when it comes to food or any part of our life, whether you're creating a ceremony or an altar by putting family photos on the mantelpiece, whatever it is, when you're doing it with that intention. So yes, it takes more time to put the cereal in the bowl and then put it back and then do it again the next day.
Yeah.
But when you present something with beauty, it begets more beauty. People appreciate it more. They gain more from it. It tastes better. My son attends a Waldorf school, and they are not, which for many families is challenging. They asked us not to pack any food with any waste. So everything there's no wrappers, and I have to pack 2 cloth napkins, one to be a placemat and one for him to use to wipe his fingers in his face. Even if it's string cheese, I have to take it out of the wrapper and put it in his, he has a little like stainless steel bento box, kind of lunch box. But his teacher talks about how important it is, even for these 4 and 5-year-olds, to have beauty.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh, I love that. Teaching them.
And how for all of us. And there's something for the person who loves the studies too. There in the 80s, Giuliani cleaned up New York City using something called the broken window theory. And it was written about in which book I'm thinking of? Oh gosh, it'll come to me. The Tipping Point by
Malcolm. Wow, you have such a great memory.
Yeah. And the broken window theory is the idea that if you create beauty, or at least not lack of beauty, that in this particular case, crime got better. So they went into the subway system and they cleaned the graffiti off the subways. And a broken window theory would mean, you fix broken windows.
Yeah.
And instead of cracking down on large crime, they cracked down on people jumping the stiles. Is that what they're called? That's turnstiles at the subway. Teeny, tiny crime, as it were. And by cleaning up the subways, overall, more violent crime reduced because people were in an area that was treated with more care and beauty. And so that, New York City's subways and muggings seems very distant from my son's kindergarten teacher creating beauty at lunchtime. Yet they're actually connected. And I see the same in my own home. When I leave the dishes in the sink, it breeds more dishes and more dirty dishes. And then once the kitchen is full of dirty dishes, I'm much less likely to put away the laundry or make my bed or sweep the floor. But when there is beauty, whether it's, in our kitchen, the subways, my son's lunch, or within ourselves, how we carry ourselves. In beauty, I use that word loosely to mean a myriad of different things. But when we create beauty, peace, joy within our space, it actually ripples out. And I mean, there was empirical evidence of that happening in New York City in the 80s. Crime went down. There were fewer muggings after they fixed the challenges that they were experiencing in the subways. And it's called the broken window theory. The idea is that, if there's an abandoned house with a broken window, then it is more likely to be vandalized over and over again.
Wow. That is, there's so much to unpack in that too, because it kind of goes along with the line of, like, if you go down into the subway or whatever and you're scared, that's obviously a low vibration, that's like a low, but if you go down there and you see happy faces painted on the wall or, whatever, then you're going to be less scared. And then you're going to, oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack in that. I love that. That's amazing. And that's called the broken window theory. Is that what you called it? The broken window theory?
Okay. And that is one, as I mentioned, I originally first became aware of it from The Tipping Point, a book by Malcolm Gladwell. But if you Google the broken window theory, then you can find more information about that.
That is so fantastic. Oh my gosh. Somebody had a great question. Vinci says, how have your children learned mindfulness from you? Ooh, that's a good question.
It is. And it's probably a work in progress. But one of my favorite moments is when my son, James, who is 5, will talk about savoring his food. And I just feel like, oh, and it's not something that I have outwardly taught. I have modeled it and mentioned the idea of savoring. And I love the moments when he says, oh, I really savored that. Or gosh, it was so yummy, I forgot to savor it.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
Where it is, something they learn by watching. And I do think that often that can be the best way to teach is by modeling, whether it's for our children or modeling behaviors for ourselves that we are wanting to grow more in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you really think that through, you probably learned without even realizing it so much from your mom, I mean, it's like, it's generational, you're going to learn what you need. I don't know. My sort of weird opinion is that I think we learn what we're supposed to learn from, whether it's our parents or whether it's friends at school and that sort of thing. You're going to learn, and it just all comes into play and creates who you are, So I love that, and I love that you're sending your son is part of the Waldorf thing, because that's really great for that too. I mean, that can really help them learn more about life, I think, than just a general school, but that's a whole other conversation.
What I think is important in what you were saying too is how valuable it is to surround us by the people who make us our best selves and make us our most authentic selves and feel the best about ourselves and encourage us to be our most holistic, healthy, grounded, well person. That an example I used a lot, but it seems kind of be the most poignant for me is, and this was years ago, I was barbecuing with my dad. It was the summer, and I think they lived in wine country. We were having a glass of wine, maybe a beer, I don't remember what it was, while barbecuing, and we had some family friends visiting, and they brought a friend of theirs along who was on his spiritual path and very dogmatic about it and did not drink. And I was really judging myself. I felt like, oh my God, I'm so terrible. I'm having a glass of wine or beer, whatever it was. I'm such a lush. And really not feeling that great about myself. And the very next day, I left on a camping trip with my boyfriend at the time and his family, and they were big drinkers and partiers. And literally, like, while we were camping, we spent the entire day picking blackberries to muddle with sugar and other things to create cocktails. That was afternoon activity. And I probably had a few of those homemade blackberry cocktails that night, but compared to them, I felt like the biggest teetotaler ever. And I was judging myself like, oh my God, I'm so boring. I don't know how to live life. I don't know how to enjoy things. And, all of that within 2 days, 2 very different experiences of myself. Yet I had not changed. And actually, in the example where I felt like the teetotaler, I had drank more. And in the example where I felt like the lush, I had had less. And showed to me how important it is to surround ourselves with the people that make us feel the best about ourselves. Another experience, I remember last year going to some birthday parties for classmates in my son's class. And one of them, they were one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday. One went and I was like, oh my gosh, our house, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. Then the next one, they were really fancy house, big fancy party. And I came home and I was like, our house is so tiny and so, and it's human nature to compare ourselves. So choose, and you obviously can't always choose your family, but when you choose friends or role models or people who you can choose to be in your life, it's really valuable to choose the ones that make you feel the best about yourself and support you on your journey to health and wellness and wholeness as much as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really kind of interesting too, because, even aside to further that, it's like we all judge ourselves all the time. And we judge other people around us all the time. And it's just being a human. It's having that human experience. And when you say, if you just like, you got to give yourself some grace, I mean, of course we're going to all judge, but you know what? If we step back and we don't make ourselves wrong for judging, I mean, I'm sorry, but the first thing I said to you when you came on, before we went live, I said, oh my God, I love your hair and the color of it and everything. So I'm looking at my hair going, oh, do you know what I mean? But that's what we do. But that's what we do as humans. But the trick is to, as you're saying, is to give yourself some grace and just be like, you know what? Like I look at my hair then because you have such a beautiful color of blonde and don't know what mine is, but I look at myself and I think, you know what? I like her color, but I like mine too. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you give yourself that little bit of grace, come on, just allow it, I mean, so I thank you for that, because that's such a great lesson for us all, we have hit the hour mark. Oh my God. I could continue talking to you for like hours, but what I want before we end today, What is it that you're up to that you want to tell us about? I know you have the Mystic Cafe. Do you want to tell us about that a little bit, or whatever it is that you're up to that you'd like to share with us?
Well, the Mystic Cafe has been my passion project for the past many years, but we were finally able to launch it last spring, and we only open for new members every once in a while, and we are going to be opening mid-October to new members.
Okay.
And Mystic Cafe is an online membership community where we invite you as friends to join us in this kind of ethereal cafe where each member, we call you star travelers, and we travel to time and space together and envision it as this kind of sacred place where we meet and share a cup of tea or coffee together and learn about ourselves and the world, and kind of on a more practical point. So monthly in the Mystic Cafe, there are at least 2 webinars, and there is a theme for the month. This month, our theme is feng shui. Next month, it's space clearing. Then we have 2 months of past lives. And we also have, for those who join us in October, we have a 6-week bonus past life weekly program. So in addition to the regular webinars, there are going to be 6 additional webinars on past life activation and how you can use that, not just to, ooh, that's interesting, but how you can use that knowledge in your current life. And then monthly in the Mystic Cafe, there's a playlist and an oracle card of the month and an energy forecast. My mom tunes into the month to see what the energy of that month is. And additionally, there is an affirmation card. And then we get a sign for the month to look for. And when you see that sign, listen for the message to see what spirit is whispering to you. And then we have a Facebook group for the ongoing community support and connection. And it is kind of my mom's legacy, and it is my passion project to create this community and to share it with our fellow star travelers.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. So you're going to be opening it up for new members
October 13th until Halloween. We will close again on Halloween, and I'm not sure yet when we will open again. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Oh, I love that. Love hearing about that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You can reach Meadow Linn at meadowlinn.com and find out everything that this beautiful soul is up to. Meadow, I can't even tell you how honored I am that you're here. And I feel like that we maybe have clarified holistic, what that is, to a lot of people today. And I thank you for that, because there's so many people in the world that are just searching and searching and searching. And today was just eye-opening. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you.
And such
yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. So you can what am I trying to say? You can reach her at meadowlinn.com. And if anybody has any questions, please reach out. We're good to go. And thank you again. And until next time, everybody, namaste. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.